Welcome back to Fox News on the Hill Live this Sunday morning. President Donald Trump, he signed new tariffs on three major trading partners, imposing 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and from Canada. The president also added an additional 10% tariff on goods from China. All three countries account for $1.6 trillion worth of business with each U.S. year of commerce. Trump said that he imposed these tariffs on these countries as punishment for not stemming the flow of drugs and illegal border crossings. Canada and Mexico now retaliating with their own tariffs against the United States. China says they're going to respond as well. Gregory Korte is the Bloomberg White House and politics reporter, and this was only the second week of the Trump administration being back in office. But we wanted to have a conversation about what this means. Obviously, Donald Trump had said one of the reasons he got reelected was because prices are too high. What do we know about what these tariffs are going to do to prices?
Yeah, well, my colleagues at Bloomberg Economics have crunched the numbers and project that about a 0.7% additional inflation rate would be built in under this. But that's before you consider a whole lot of different factors in terms of how other countries retaliate, how the U.S. escalates. It's a complicated question because there are substitution goods, right? If you can't get your favorite Mexican beer, you might buy an American beer. But some other products are going to be it's really hard to avoid these tariffs. If you have a cell phone, you're probably getting it or its components from China. Most cars have components from Mexico or Canada. The oft-quoted statistic is that the parts in a car assembled in North America cross the Detroit River 7 times before they get assembled into a car that you might buy at your local car dealer. So this is going to affect broad parts of things that everyday Americans buy every day.
One of the things the president has said in response to questions about this is that the American people knew he was going to do this, that he talked about it during the campaign, and that he believes that the American people are supportive of this. How long do these trade wars tend to go on? Could this be a short-term thing, or could we be in this for the long haul?
You know, a week ago, we had what we're calling the shortest trade war in history with Colombia, where President Trump threatened tariffs on Colombia because it was not taking back some of the migrants who had come to the U.S., these flights of migrants back to the country of origin. And that got all resolved in the span of really an afternoon. This is different. He has already imposed these tariffs. They will go into effect on Tuesday. He said there's nothing that Mexico and Canada can do at this point to avoid them. So we seem to have reached the point of no return. We are in a trade war.
We touched on this with Senator Kaine a moment ago, but federal workers received an email over the past week telling them that they can take advantage of buyouts. There's been some dispute as to whether or not this actually is a buyout in an effort to reduce the size of the federal workforce. It seems that there has been a pushback from a lot of elements in the federal government as far as the federal workforce in taking this. Is this an effort by the White House right now to have the federal workforce doge itself?
Yeah, this is sort of a self-deportation move, right? And this is something that Vivek Ramaswamy was going to be part of this DOGE effort. He's now bowed out. He's going to run for governor of Ohio instead. But this is something he talked a lot about in terms of, look, we want to force federal workers to come back into the office, and we're betting that a lot of them won't want to. And so that was the stick. This so-called buyout offer is the carrot. It's saying, look, if you do this deferred resignation program, we will pay you through the end of the fiscal year, but you don't have to show up to work, and you can continue to work from home or even get another job.
You know, one of the big things that happened on the Hill that obviously got overshadowed with the tragedy this week are three very high-profile and often contentious confirmation hearings. Kash Patel at FBI, Tulsi Gabbard as DNI, and also Robert F. Kennedy Jr. There was Republican pushback that we hadn't heard about some of the earlier nominees. How concerned is the White House right now about these three getting through?
Well, they dodged a bullet with Pete Hegseth. They got him into the Secretary of Defense role by the skin of his teeth, by the tie-breaking vote of Vice President Vance. These are perhaps even more dicey because, as you point out, there's perhaps a little bit more Republican opposition there. And we know historically that at least one of the president's cabinet nominees, going back decades is going to get rejected or is going to have to withdraw the nomination. That's just the numbers. The Senate likes to takes its advice and consent role seriously, and at least one of these is going to be a sacrificial lamb, maybe more.
And early on, even with Hedgeseth, it was floated that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis might have been waiting in the wings. We haven't heard any waiting in the wings names, but you would imagine the White House might have a plan B if these don't move forward.
Yeah, and the way they usually happens is they just stall the nomination until it's withdrawn.
All right. Gregory Korte, we appreciate you joining us.